So yesterday was a pretty bad day for the Russians. They got hit hard, and that was after being hit hard the day before. And some of this is intertwined with the day before, what I'm about to show you, to just kind of paint the whole picture. So we're going to start here, the video of the aftermath of the recent Ukrainian drone strike on a Russian Mi-8 in Crimea, published by a Russian source with such a description, quote, "They've hit Crimea again, minus the helicopters and a few other things. I can't write about them. There's no air defense, and the radar is useless." Okay, so what we know was that yesterday a radar was hit, as well as 3 Russian helicopters. So this is some of the aftermath being published here. Okay, so let's talk about the radar. Here's some more context on the Ukrainian strike on the Russian Nebo-U radar station in Russian-occupied Crimea yesterday. Even if this radar was only partially damaged, this has huge significance, and it is a disadvantage for Russian air defense. Due to its location in Crimea, the Nebo-U radar station can monitor the situation in the sky in a very wide range, including aerial targets, not just in parts of Ukraine, but Odessa, Dnipro, Kyiv, Kharkiv, but outside Ukraine as well, as NATO's largest air base in Romania, the coast of Turkey in Istanbul, Ankara, etc. It's also a very rare radar. Russia only has a few dozen of them. Damaging one of these radars is a loss for Russia. It increases reaction time for Russian air defense and creates blind or blinder spots. Russian leadership has turned Crimea into a spot for destroying rare and expensive equipment. They have set up a trap for themselves. They cannot stop defending the occupied Crimea, but they are not able to provide security for their defense systems. So they've got this kind of a really bad situation here, and that radar, or something just like that radar, was just hit yesterday. Okay, so what does that leave us with today? So last night, I thought this was going to be the headline. Ukraine struck the Foros Sanatorium. By the way, this wasn't even the picture. Like, what was in the picture was these 2 boat plane kind of things, another S-400, the two of these kind of drones, 3 of these kind of long-range reconnaissance drones. Okay, so let's talk about this. High-level Russians were holding a meeting at the facility, according to the locals. This is known as the FSB Dacha, where even Putin has vacation. Many dead and injured in a precision strike. We don't know much more about it other than that it was hit. So I can't go into that. Okay, Ukraine struck the Kanaviskaya railroad traction substation in Krasnodar region. At least 5 drone strikes were reported there. They're systematically hitting like choke points within the railroad. What is it? Reporting from Ukraine did a video about this the other day. Maybe I should show you a little bit about that. During the week from this past week, unmanned systems forces group units struck 5,826 unique enemy targets, 16,082 enemy personnel, 990 of whom were eliminated permanently. First time the primary unit targeted 2 Russian BE-12 military amphibious aircraft in Crimea on September 21st. Yeah, so what happened here is that these are planes that can either be planes on the ground, or they can actually, be seaborne planes as well. And yeah, they don't have so many of those. So I just hit after hit after hit after hit on these multiple ways that Russia can bring death and destruction to Ukraine. Reported strike on a Russian military site caused significant damage, suggesting heavier weapons than just drones. I'm not sure what they hit this building with, but it seems like it was more than just drones. On September 21st, the Phantoms, I had this slightly out of order. So these are more about the Phantoms. Special unit eliminated 2 BE Chaka Gull planes in occupied Crimea. These are rare Soviet-era aircraft carrying expensive submarine hunting equipment designed to detect underwater threats across thousands of miles of coastline. The destroyed planes could operate from both conventional airfields and water surfaces, making them uniquely valuable for Russia's Black Sea maritime surveillance. So the same it was kind of with the same strike with these helicopters. Ukrainian drone activity was also reported near Belbek Airport in occupied Crimea. Air defense is reportedly active. Russian special forces also destroyed a S-400 that was also in the thumbnail. Defense system, radar, and launcher in Kaluga region. Feels like Ukraine is clearing the path for missile strikes against Moscow. Well, the more that they can remove this, the more effective they're going to be in targeting locations toward Moscow. Drone and missile threat that's declared in occupied Sevastopol and western Crimea. Strike drones are reportedly roaming above the peninsula. This was posted last night. And then additional footage of the strike on the logistics hub of Russia's 810th Naval Infantry Brigade in Kursk region. SSO unit, UA Reg team of the 8th Special Purpose Regiment, together with other strike elements, hit ammo depots, supply warehouses, and living quarters. And so those are all good, legitimate military targets. Now, this thing came out today, but it was about a strike just a few days ago on September 18th. Ukrainian Defense Forces destroyed ammunition depot in Russian-occupied Luhansk region. Such strikes might not get the same attention as burning oil refineries, but they are extremely important for the front lines. I would say they're more important for the front lines. Like the oil depot is a long-term strategy. Hitting the ammunition dump, that's going to keep them from having things that they're going to be sending downrange very quickly. Russia intended to hand out ammunition and drones for its troops. Trucks delivered tens of thousands of mines, grenades, cartridges of various types, thousands of rounds for tanks, including high-precision ZUBK-14 and artillery shells to the field depot of the tank regiment. They also delivered various types of drones. Then on September 18th, Ukrainian defenders destroyed an ammunition depot, destroying not just ammo, but Russian vehicles as well. So that's a really good hit. Ukrainian drone strike on a gas station in occupied Luhansk. Okay, there's not a lot to see here. It's just a gas station. They can deliver stuff to another gas station. Just part of what's going on. Explosions are also reported in Horlivka, Donetsk region, but I don't know what the explosions are about, so I can't tell you any more data here. Or smoke rises in occupied Severodonetsk after UAV strikes. But again, I don't know what they're going after here. I'm just showing you that things are going on. It was a really bad day for Russia. I mean, really. Okay, overnight, Russia launched 141 drones, mostly Shahed. Ukrainian defenses shot down 132 of them. That's a pretty good strike ratio, or knockdown ratio. Nevertheless, there's still some problems here. Rescue operations and debris clearance continues following the Russian strike on Zaporizhzhia. Guided aerial bombs targeted civilian infrastructure and ordinary homes. 15 multi-story buildings and 10 private houses were damaged. Overnight, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, Sumy, Kharkiv, Kyiv, and Kherson Oblast also came under drone strikes. In total, more than 140 drones, some of which were Shaheds. Okay, so that's given you a sense of what's going on. Aerial bombs killed 3 civilians in Zaporizhzhia overnight. Not a single facility was related to military infrastructure, but Lavrov will tell you, we never target civilians. We only go after military infrastructure. Sure. That would include residential neighborhoods, shopping centers, 15 apartment buildings, 10 private houses. And here, the same kind of thing in Sumy, hitting civilian areas, an elementary school, a kindergarten, 6 apartment buildings, and 30 cars. So, that's just a normal night in Ukraine. Russians double-tap UAV strike hits an oil depot dangerously close to Ukrainian firefighters that just arrived after the first hit. One state emergency service worker had to jump into the water to escape the explosion. Yeah, okay, so that's what's going on. Now, British-made Raven air defense systems, fielded by the Air Command West Regiment, pairs a Super Cat truck with an ASRAAM missiles under the Frankensam program, Fast Adapt for ground launch. It reportedly defeats about 70% of maneuvering targets. So Frankensam is like Frankenstein, like they just kind of merged these two things together, put it on a truck, and kind of made it work. And it seems to work pretty well. Okay. Let's look at what's going on the battlefield day over day. Losses of the Russian occupiers in Ukraine, 960. Remember, 100,000 beyond the from the time that we hit 1 million. There's 100,000 in 100 days. So really, I mean, it's it's barely even a ballpark. It's almost on point. 1,000 is about an average per day, and that's going to put us at another 100,000 by New Year's Day. That's what it looks like is going to happen. One tank, one armored fighting vehicle, 47 artillery systems. Look at this, the helicopters that we talked about yesterday. Here they are. Somebody was asking, why isn't it reported? Well, it's reported now. And 118 vehicles and fuel tanks. So there's usually a day lag from the time that something's hit to it when it's reported. Okay, here casualties are slightly below average, engagements below it. When casualties are slightly below average at 960, so that's slightly below the 1,000. So just 1,000 is a pretty easy mark to remember of whether it's higher or lower. And by the way, while we're talking about this, let's not forget that when you see 960 or upwards of 1,000 Russian casualties, there's a good fraction of that. There are Ukrainian casualties. It's not like it's 1,000 here and nothing on the other side. It's a sizable fraction. So don't forget that. That's also happening simultaneously. Okay. But in 10,000 attacks, Russians were able to capture just 1,300 square kilometers around Pokrovsk since June, with a single big break and major gains throughout the grind. So this is what the map looks like. Let's do this. So here's the bunny ear stuff. You're going to start seeing some of that going forward in these 10,000 engagements. Right? You start to see some of that starting to build. Right? That's 10,000. 10,000 strikes, and you didn't really capture a whole lot. I mean, so at any rate, that's what the battlefield looks like. Konstantinivka front, Russia threw a tank and 2 infantry fighting vehicles into an assault near Nivka, but Ukraine's 12th Azov Brigade stopped them cold. Again, I just don't understand sending a tank out into open field like this. It doesn't work with when you have drones now. It just doesn't work like it used to. And again, the Russians can do things to Ukrainians as well. This is Chabaus of RT, and he's always trying to show all the worst possible things of Ukraine. But he's right. A Russian reconnaissance drone tracked a Ukrainian tank back to its lair. Fiber optic drone then destroyed it. Fiber optic drones are very hard to stop, detonating its ammunition and fuel, sending the turret, which weighs several tons, hundreds of feet into the air. We're not going to see that, but just see, this is the Russian drone's perspective, finding the Ukrainian drone, right? Okay, so it happens. I mean, both sides are taking some on the chin. Units under Ukraine's 40th Coastal Defense Brigade appears to be using autonomous FPV drones more this month. Okay, so we just talked about fiber optic drones, but when you get to AI, autonomous FPV drones, the game is going to change in a significant way. AI is changing everything at work, let alone in warfare. Seen here a compilation of recent Ukrainian FPV drone strikes that appear to use some sort of onboard autonomous targeting aid, so they can lock in and just go for it. Here, Russia sharply reduced the use of its reconnaissance drones. In Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade, Magura destroyed 23 of them in just 2 weeks. These are rare supercams and other drones that you're seeing here. And here's interception of a 4-post UAV armed with 2 KAB-20 bombs by the 95th Brigade of Ukraine. So they're slipping up underneath it, which is unusual. Usually they attack from above. And this was in the thumbnail. Here we see the 5 Russian UAVs, 2 Supercams and 3 Zalas will never fly again because, well, they're just being caught and destroyed in the air by the Signum Battalion. Ground-based robotics. These posts, my guess is these posts are going to, they're going to construct fortifications, but rather than have to have humans do this and, get in harm's way, these things are going to be on robots. I mean, essentially on these ground-based drones. That's going to make the load a lot easier. Okay, last couple things. Lone mother arrested for standing in front of the military defense in Moscow, Ministry of Defense in Moscow. Quote, they promised me, as a mother, the boys would be returned in 6 months, a year at most. Today marks the 3rd anniversary of the mobilization that began on September 21st, 2022. And so this mom is being arrested because she's out there protesting. And yeah, you can't really do that because there's no real freedom. Okay. On this day, 1939, German Soviet victory parade took place in the Polish town of Brest-Litovsk. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I've read it for many years, but I've never actually pronounced it like verbally. So, I mean, tell me if I find Polish to be harder than Ukrainian, believe it or not. Okay, and so yeah, here are the Nazis and the Russians getting together. And it's pretty clear they're chummy. This is before the Great Patriotic War started. This was when World War II was going on. So, okay, there's that. Okay, finally, I'll leave you with my shout out, and this is going to Nellie McClung. Nellie McClung is an undergraduate YouTube member. Thank you, Nellie, for your support. And thank you, all of you, for your comments. Put them below. I try to read as many as I can. Thank you for the time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.